On Friday night, April 26, 2024. I opened my apartment door thinking we'd rehearse our last week of being engaged. Wine. Takeout. Laughing over which photos to run in the reception slideshow. Within 5 minutes, I learned my fiancé planned to disappear for the weekend to figure something out with an older man. 2 hours later, the doorbell rang with news no script could handle. I'm going to call myself Evan. My fiancé was Maya. And the great listener she swore was just a friend turned out to be Walter Grant. Her former boss, married, charming in that HR-friendly way. The kind of guy who treats a hallway like his stage. She stood there in a fitted black dress. Fake pearls, heels, gorgeous and so wrong for a night in. By the door, a blue suitcase with a yellow ribbon on the handle. On the console, an envelope with my name. You're home early, she said, sweet but shaky. Give me 10 and we'll head out, I smiled. Where are we going? Need a little space, she said. Just until Sunday night. I'm staying downtown. Alone? With a friend. Friend flickered like a bad lamp. If you won't say a name, I'm guessing it's a man, I said. Therapist, pastor? Someone who bills insurance? She shook her head. Mascara was one blink from running. He's just a good listener. A good listener with a wedding band. Silence. The wall clock got loud. Maya, look at me. Who is he? Promise you won't do anything crazy. I promise that if you keep hiding, the thing that gets cancelled isn't dinner. It's the wedding. She tapped the envelope. Inside, a single page. Next week starts a new chapter. I need to do this before it's too late. Do what? I asked slow. And with who? Walter Grant, she whispered. My ex-boss. The name split the night. I knew the guy. Grey suits, mentor voice no one asked for. Married to Sandra, who showed up at company parties with polite smiles and perfect posture. Have you slept with him? I asked, praying for a no that didn't come. She covered her face. Silence answered. I pressed on. How many times? Not a lot. 5 or 6? The room tilted. I braced a hand on the table. Why? When we got serious, you told me you'd been with people before me, she said. I said it didn't bother me, but it started to feel unfair. Walter helped me see that if we were going to start as equals, I needed to even the score before the wedding, so I wouldn't cheat after. Even the score, I repeated like chewing gravel. And your plan was to vanish for a weekend with a married man and come home Monday like it was Pilates. It was going to be the last time, she said, heartbreakingly sure. I love you. I just needed to understand my head and my body. After that, only you. People who love each other don't measure trust with someone else's ruler, I said. They talk first. I picked up the ring box from the console, the one I'd set aside to get resized. The sparkle felt wrong, like a laugh at a funeral. You have one chance to tell me everything, hotel floor check-in time. And hear me, if you walk out tonight, there's no ceremony next week. There's no ceremony ever. She cried the quiet cry I knew too well. Then she gave me the hotel, the floor, the hour. Details always arrive late when truth shows up ashamed. The doorbell rang. Her flinch told me who she thought it was. I opened the door. 2 officers stood there. 1 woman, 1 man. Steady voices, hands visible. Good evening. Does Maya live here? I'm Maya, she said barely. Ma'am, do you know Sandra Grant? The officer asked. She's Walter's wife, Maya said, color draining. What happened? Her husband was found deceased about an hour ago, the woman said, even and clear. We need you to come in and give a statement. There are indications you plan to be with him this weekend. For your safety, we'll transport you. The building had never sounded that empty. Maya sat and hugged her chest like she could hold in what had already spilled. I handed over her driver's license. They walked her out. The suitcase stayed. So did the note. When the door shut, I sat on the kitchen floor and leaned against the cabinet. I don't know how long. Then I stood up, opened her laptop and wrote a short group email to my parents, our wedding party, and a few close friends. We're not getting married. Not for lack of love on my end, but for lack of loyalty on the other. She chose secrecy. I choose light. Send. Phone on Do Not Disturb. Saturday morning. I packed her things into 4 black trash bags. Perfumes, the dumb inside joke coffee mug, the band tee she slept in, early photos, a book with a handwritten note I never read. The ring went back in its box. Keeping something can be a way of letting go. Local news did what local news does. I became fiancé left days before the wedding. Walter was executive found dead after domestic dispute. Sandra was in custody while the investigation crawled along. Co-workers turned into ghost avatars. My body, which had only known how to shake, finally learned to breathe. On Monday, I signed the papers to sell the condo. Tuesday, I slept on a friend's spare mattress with 6 books stacked as a nightstand. Wednesday morning, I realized it was my first night in months without that dream of invisible hands crushing my chest. Time walks funny when you're broken. I went to therapy, jogged the park loops, had coffee with friends who don't say much but hug right. The world clicked back one notch at a time. Years passed. I don't count by calendars anymore. I count by days when memories stop biting. I met Nora on a sunny Sunday at a neighborhood park. She laughed at my beat-up sneakers. I laughed at her dog, a throw pillow with a tongue. We learned to build a home without hurrying, screw by screw. I proposed on an autumn night. She said yes, looking at me, not a camera. Soon we found out we'd be 3. Our son Miles said dada before I learned to say it's over without tasting the past. Clean love cleans. Much later, visiting my hometown, the past crossed the street. Blue sky Saturday late afternoon. We were walking past a stationery store when Miles bolted for the window and collided with a woman coming out holding a sympathy card. Her purse fell, pen, lipstick, receipts everywhere. I crouched to help. When I stood, our eyes met. It was Maya. Sometimes time just swaps the frame on the same picture. Nora understood without subtitles. She took one step forward, not to fight, to draw a boundary. Please don't come near my family, she said, calm. Maya nodded. She handed the pen back to Miles with a soft, thanks, buddy, from somewhere far away. And she walked off slowly, carrying a suitcase I couldn't see but recognized. I stared at the window just long enough. Then I took Nora's hand and kept walking. Life was beautiful. I wasn't letting a ghost pick the soundtrack. I don't know how her story ended. I know what's left of mine. A notebook of lessons written the hard way. Hard conversations postponed turn into early tragedies. Secrets are loans with brutal interest. Forgiveness exists, but trust is a one-of-one part. When it breaks, the factory doesn't make replacements. And evening the score is not a permission slip to hurt the person beside you. Would I do anything differently? Maybe I'd have spoken up earlier when her smile stopped reaching her eyes. Maybe I'd have suggested couples therapy before the cops rang my bell. Maybe I wouldn't have hit send on that many people. Though that night, writing was the only way to keep the roof from caving in. We survive how we can. Today, if someone asks me to accept a secret for the good of the marriage, I say no with the same ease I order a coffee. Not out of pride, out of care. For me and for whoever walks with me. If this story kept you hooked, tap like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear that love and secrecy don't mix. And tell me in the comments, what would you do if even the score knocked on your door?